Welcome everyone, Mate Talk time. Awesome to be before you all. Hopefully everybody is well around the world. Set myself up. Let's begin. Let me go into announcements really quickly. 3 announcements that will come in at the end of the production or of the review. One is Libertine Meet Up on this Saturday, 9th at 11 a.m. I've had a few people reach out to me. I will definitely be there. I don't know for how long, but we'll let that flow. But I'll tell you more at the end of this production. The next is that there is a promo right now for celebrating the 200th Mate Talk. It will run for the next month, I'll tell you more. And lastly, members of the channel, what does this mean? The spinning of the wheel, Discord, all that sort of stuff, so I'll go into more detail. Now, recently, this is the production that came out with Elias. If you've missed it, have a look at this. I purposely planted one of my fragrances. So for those who might not know, I have a brand called Olfactive Traveller. We actually released or launched last year. This is here a celebration of Rome, and it's Roma 271. And Elias at that stage hadn't smelt it, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna be a bit sneaky. Put a blindfold on this boy. The idea was smell something without knowing what it is, and then tell me whether you think it has an baby, what's your name feeling to it, meaning that you turn around and you're like, whoa, what was that, you know? Anyway, he chose this as his fragrance in the end. He didn't know that it was mine. He didn't know what the fragrance was other than the smell that was in the air. Now, look at this comment. So this comment came through, and it's funny because for me, this is not necessarily a badge of honor, but this is definitely, because to be beautiful and easygoing is never the intention of Olfactive Travel. We want it to be a sense of mystery, and more so, like Roma 271 needs to have a level of discovery about it. It's not just doesn't present itself to you. I did respond and say, you know, tell me more. So, you know, 1, I'm excited that you had a chance to experience the fragrance, and 2, tell me more. Turns out they're saying that their skin chemistry on the fragrance doesn't work too well, and it gives them a bit of a sour smell. And this led me to where I want to be today, and that is brutally beautiful fragrances. I do love this category. You may have seen, I was actually on this category with Orto Parisi quite a while back, Nasomato, the same thing. And these are brutally beautiful fragrances. This is something that, unlike, let's take Wave Child. Wave Child, one spray and you're like, you know, you just take my money. If you like that fruity sort of scent profile to it, there's an instant allure to it. I mean, it has very little pieces in there, or even a vanilla fragrance, very little pieces in there that you go, oh, this is not for me. Whereas the ones that I'm going to present to you today they have a lot more complexity to them, but just give them a chance. Just like the Orto Parisis, give them a chance, because when they sort of begin to sort of settle in, it's almost like they go on into your skin, and they're subversive. They will infiltrate your dreams. You know, especially if you're wearing them at night. So these are fragrances. I've got 6 fragrances here that I've really enjoyed wearing, and also I've been sharing it with other people around me and getting their feedback. Similar to, and I'm going to loop back on this, similar to Roma 271. I love it when people first go, I don't know, and actually here's another comment where this wonderful lady from the US who supported you know, when we released this, did buy Roma 271, and her comment was like, this wasn't so much. She's actually going, hang on a second, there's something coming through on this. So if you want to know more, I'll tell you more at the end about all things Olfactive Travel, and in particular Roma 271. But let me begin where I started years ago and was almost, so I have told the story that my sister, when she started to go, do not talk about these fragrances. These are, she didn't say these are terrible, but she said, Orto Parisi, they're just not nice fragrances. So my sister is very much, she just likes beautiful things. So beautiful smells, rose and all that sort of stuff. She's all in. When I first presented to her the Orto Parisis, because early on the channel, she was like my supporter, and also I would use her as a bit of a thought bank. She's like, don't do these fragrances. This is not going to be a hit. Well, it turns out, and have a look at this. This is my second biggest video on the channel. Anything to do with Orto Parisi, everybody's all in. So I'm going to put forward to you I guess the big hitter in that lineup, and that is Megamare. I was wearing this yesterday, and it's wonderful to revisit this old friend. For those who haven't had a chance to experience Megamare, it's not as scary as it used to be. These days, more and more, there are a lot of brands going in and getting really wild and creative. Toscavat is a great example of that, where just wild and creative to the point where you're like, I don't know if I could wear this. Initially, Orto Parisi was sort of in that place. Now I find that the Orto Parisis are a lot more accessible, and they're not as intense as they were maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Where before I thought Orto Parisi had a very sort of algae, and it still does, algae and heavy musk and a touch of that sort of rotting seaweed by the shoreline, I've now smelt things that are a lot more pronounced and punchy, that this now becomes almost like, well, this is like an everyday fragrance. The good news about Megamare is its evolution. Where it begins in this wonderful, and what I get from it is like a slightly overcast sunny day. There are these citrus or brighter notes in there. I do get a very clear cucumber note, which I can associate to aquatic, or to that sort of seaside sort of feeling to it. There are a number of other aquatic fragrances that also accentuate that sort of cucumber note, feeling like it's fresh and watery is basically the essence of it. It does then migrate to this, and it migrates slowly. It's almost like a dial that's slowly tipping over to this more darker side of things. I did compare it in this production here to when sunlight, it's a beautiful day, you're at the beach in this beautiful area, and sunlight hits the water, and you're getting all these different color from the ocean, these different blues and greens and everything else. But then the moment that the sun goes out, and if it's crashing waves, all of a sudden it becomes menacing. Same scene, same location, but you go from this sunny, gorgeous sort of place to a very menacing, I can drown here sort of place. There's an area in Melbourne or in Victoria called the Great Ocean Road, and you can drown in those beaches, and you have to be super careful. So this is what this fragrance does. It starts off sunny and just, this is sort of very approachable nature to it, and then slowly it sort of dials itself across to this very dark and menacing, more algae-like, more musky sort of facing fragrance. I was wearing it yesterday, so all the fragrances I wore yesterday as I was prepping, I've got them all again on my body. The one that stayed on me for 24 hours plus was Megamare. I woke up this morning, I could smell Megamare as I moved around, took off my pajama top. I could smell Megamare on my body. I've got it here for now. It's been now all fragrances about an hour, okay? And it's now in that migration place. So I'm getting a touch of that cucumber seaside by the ocean, and the boat is now traveling deeper into the ocean. I'm getting a little bit more of the seaweed, a bit more of the algae element to it, more into the musk. It's still reminding me of the beauty that I experienced on the shore, but as I mentioned, it's now moving away. The great thing about, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to try to say this only once, all right? Only because I'm sure you guys I get it. And that is, every one of these fragrances, for most people, are not bring your nose to them. All right, so just let them diffuse in the air. What you're detecting and what everyone else around you is smelling are two different things. So I know that for Megamare is definitely the case. So if you're new to this and you want to explore it, don't be too afraid to spray it and leave it alone. Sometimes we're tempted to constantly bury our nose in it, and it's a little bit off-putting. You want to wash it off because you're thinking this smells horrible, but in fact, in the air, it smells absolutely divine and magical. Megamare, great fragrance, one that I would recommend, one that I recommended years ago, and I'm glad that all things Orto Parisi are really pushing forward. I know that Alessandro is actually coming out with a new fragrance. I've seen his ads. Kooky as always, because that's the guy. He knows how to do it well, so that's a great one for you to check out. I'm going to stop, and I'm going to reboot, and that way we can begin our editing process with this. I'm back. So the next one is now a brand that is fairly new. It's probably about 2-3 years old. It's called Ephemeral Dyadic, and I do love the name. Essentially, no, here, remembering it. Ephemeral is something, actually I won't even pretend. Boom, it's here. I completely forgot. I should have prepped, but I didn't. But I do like the name because it's basically, that's perfume. It's a fleeting moment, essentially, so nothing that doesn't linger too long. Now, Ephemeral Dyadic, if you can see from the way that they do things, so it's a little bit like a mad laboratory, you know, it has a distressed lid and all the rest of it. I have spoken to them about these guys a few times. There's one called Lost Chemistry, which I really, really love. But here's a few other conversations that I've had on this. This one's called No Taboo. And the essence of it, it's a little bit weird, is the perfumer, and this is verbatim, so this is what he shared with me, okay, is thinking about going to see a hooker. That's the essence of it, okay? And there's no taboos, all right? He elaborated more. I'm not going to, but I'll let you guys, let your imagination run wild. The idea is that this is intended to be a very sort of sexualized musk. Think of Sadonaso, same sort of concept. I do believe that No Taboo came out first. I think that they sort of were exploring this concept initially. So if I compare Sado and No Taboo, I feel like Sado does have more of the sweetness and that honey that's in there. I think also that a lot of people not complain, but you know, say that Sado has that sort of urine kind of, you know, touch to it. Whereas here, I don't get that sort of essence to it too. Our heater has gone out of action, and the girls behind me are complaining that it's cold in here. I agree, it is a little bit cool. But the heater guy's coming in tomorrow, so I've already made the call. All right, I'm a good guy. He's trying to be a good guy. What I like about No Taboo, and here's the difference between the two, in case you might have Sadonaso, is that it opens with a very innocent, baby powder-like element to it. It has a softness, it has a very inviting sort of a piece to it. There definitely is a milky sort of creaminess to it. I get like a fruit piece, like apricot or peach, like a white peach. So it has this sort of playful funness to it, sort of invitation to come and explore. The best way I can define it, Japan have these awesome lollies. For those who don't know, Japanese lollies are like next level. So if you ever want to get really good candy, Japanese do it the best. And they have these sort of, I think it might even be haichu. Actually, I don't think, anyway, it doesn't matter. They're milky lollies with fruit elements to it. And the fruit is not overly accentuated, so it's not highly confectionery. Very sublime. And they do have a peach and they have a grape and stuff like that. That's what it reminds me of. This sort of delicate, milky touch of fruit. As I said, it does have that baby powder, very innocent, sort of like, I'm a really good person. And then give it about 30 minutes, an hour, it turns on you in this very musky, dirty, not stinky, but very heavy crutch smell, you know, so like something that you've been at the gym and you've been, anyway, but it has a very intense, musky, human sort of dirtiness to it. So there's not an animalic nature to it, nothing leathery, nothing, you know, there's definitely a human element to this. And really for me, as an expression, as a way of bringing together, so go back to that, you know, visiting a hooker, like he mentioned, or a lady of the night. He's definitely aimed to capture that sort of element, you know, that sort of like, yeah, it's an awesome fragrance. Now, you may think to yourself, because this is the other part I thought of, if you haven't smelt it, why would you want to wear something like this? There is I don't know what it is about us as humans. We love this repulsion attraction piece to it. Again, another fragrance that you wouldn't bury your nose to it. Just let it diffuse in the air, and there is this hyper sort of sexuality to it. He's placed a note in there, and I think this is more of a playful element to it. I don't know whether this is a real thing, but he's placed a pheromone note in there, and the idea is that it really is to ensnare a lover and ensnare, someone to be attracted to you in a going out sort of way. People talk about, so I jumped on Fragrantica to see what the overall consensus was. It's the reviews are mixed. Some people go, whoa, this is amazing, and I really love it. Others going, what is this? People say that there's a patchouli. Patchouli is noted as one of the ingredients in the actual fragrance. I do not get it, and because for me, patchouli in my brain performs in a particular way. I don't get that here. I get, as I said, a very crutch, very musky, very human sort of scent profile to it. I'm still in that milky sort of, this is another one similar to Megamare, where it sort of migrates slowly, the dial moves across very slowly into this more sort of sassy place. Boom. One that I recommend, again, explore this house. I personally think they're doing a great job. They have unusual fragrances. They do like to experiment with fantasy notes. I think this one here has red amber in it. What does that even mean? It does have that pheromone note, but again, I think this is more of a playful way of perfume expression that is wearable. Because so this is me disclaiming. There are some fragrance houses that have come in that are very sort of avant-garde, but I have a hard time wearing them, and even to the point where people around me are not like, I've had, and I won't go into it, but I've had some brands where I wear and I'm like, and because I'm in constant contact with my wife, she's like, I don't like that fragrance. I don't like that smell. Anyway, boom. Can I also say this? So this is now a little footnote. I buy perfumes for me too, all right? So people sometimes write this in what I perceive it to be a little bit of a smug sort of tone. I buy perfumes for myself. I don't buy it, so that, hopefully I can get some more, compliments and all the rest of it. And I'm going to say, because other people have written in when someone has written, I buy this fragrance because I'm going out on a date or a special thing. And there is a smugness that let people do what they want to do. Just let them, actually I should stop. I'm not going to say anymore. Look, I'm a big believer in you do you. Just you do you. If this is how you live your life, I think that's super cool. Let others do the same. Okay, let me move on. I'm going to get off my soapbox otherwise. So Aziyade, I actually spoke about this brand before, Parfum d'Empire, and I do love them. I really love the way that they create fragrances. They're quite unique and unusual, and I've discovered, put forward Aziyade as a great fragrance, and it's beautiful, and if you like fruit notes that are deeper with tobacco and all this sort of stuff, then this is the one. Turns out that they've had because I've sprayed this stuff, shed people, and they're like, oh, well, that's weird. Kevin came in yesterday, and I said, smell the different fragrances. He smelled this, and he's like, oh, well, I don't think I like that one, bro. And honestly, it's like the most beautiful thing in your life, and someone's like, I don't think that's for me, And so I've been picking my brain as to what exactly is happening here, that I'm feeling one way, but other people are feeling something else. Turns out, and in exploration, cumin, and this is what Kevin said to me. He goes, I can detect a very sweaty cumin note in there. Now, the fragrance is designed also to be an amorous style fragrance. If you watch this episode here, I did talk about how I feel like it's about essentially two lovers, and in my mind I had two lovers who are actually naked and lying next to each other, and their skin is touching, but they're comfortable in just being together. It sounds a bit much, but that's the sort of visual that I got. And I still get that. I still get a very warm fruit, hay-like tobacco, earthy caress. There's nothing, unlike No Taboo, there is a little bit more of, something has just occurred, there's been some sort of activity. Whereas here, it feels more just like a capturing a moment in time of just two people being together and being comfortable. But this is more than just, these are two lovers, essentially. For me, and this is what I've written here, I get fruit, I get warmth, I get sensuality, I get tenderness. And yet Kevin yesterday, he's like, this one is not for me, bro. All I get is cumin. So I'm now, again, I mentioned before, an hour in, and I get a very beautiful and almost, I can taste it, plum, a very dark plum fruit note. And maybe somewhere in the distance, I'm getting this cumin. I am getting touch and skin, so it could be the cumin, as I said, can, you know, sometimes be used to create a sweaty note or a human note. Wore it yesterday. It's one that my brain instantly grabs. I find it just beautifully seductive and just gorgeous. Sandra, when I have been wearing, has never. It's not one that she's like, oh, I really love that one, but it's a comfortable fragrance that I wear that she enjoys. Because I had them also on strips here. I came in this morning as I'm sort of prepping for today, and I'm like, there's one of you, I was talking to the fragrances, there's one of you that is calling my name, and I'm smelling, and it was Aziyade. Aziyade is the one that I'm picking up, and so there's something in here that just draws me in, that I find it super appealing. Just very complex, the way it starts and moves around. It does start off a little bit sharp, a little bit more on that herbal note, a little bit more sort of, you know, making you aware that the fragrance is present, but it does dry down to this very just beautiful, sensual tobacco hay-like. And yeah, anyway, big recommendation, but by the sound of it, brutally beautiful for some people. Boom. All right, next. I'm gonna do one more and then I'm gonna stop. This is now Meo Fusciuni, and it's obvious that I got to put it in a Meo here. I find that his earlier work absolutely embraces that beautifully brutal landscape. His earlier work were really deep, dark poetry in an olfactive form. I've met him a few times. Here are a number of productions if you want to know more about Meo. I call him Meo, by the way. I know his name is Giuseppe. I've asked him, what would you prefer? Do I call you Giuseppe? Do I call you Meo? He's like, call me Meo. My grandmother calls me Meo. I don't have a problem with that. Bada boom. So I call him Meo, okay? So his earlier work is very, almost heavy-like. There is a robust nature. He did, like early on, use a lot of darker notes, leather, oud, so magnolia, but in a very dark sort of way. Loves the, birch tar and all these sort of more, smoky notes and things of that nature. The most polarizing, I think, in his collection, in his earlier collection, excuse me, is Odor 93. Now, for boys who want to explore, this is why I got into it, explore the tuberose note. Tuberose is very feminine leaning. It has a very strong indolic white floral, very heavy, very, the words that have been used to describe the tuberose is sort of narcotic and sensual and things of that nature. So in that sort of vein, I like deep white flowers I associate to a woman, to a female. But I do want to go across the wheel and I do want to explore different fragrance notes. And so tuberose was one that I've always wanted to sort of participate in. So if you are the same, then Odor 93 is a brilliant fragrance to explore. Have a look at this visual here. This will capture quickly what this fragrance is doing. There's a great film called Melancholia. So this is now niche movie, okay? So if you haven't seen this film, I'd recommend it to you, but know that there's a very deep message in here. It's about, Melancholia is about depression, and just watch it with that sort of lens. And it's For people who don't suffer from depression or melancholy or anything like that, for me, which I tend to be a sort of an upbeat sort of guy, I mean, yeah, things get me down, but sort of turn things around. I watched this movie and I'm like, oh, I understand. I have a friend who suffered deeply of this sort of thing. And in watching this, I'm like, oh, I think I understand a little bit more about what these poor people go through when it comes to that. Anyway, great film, really strongly recommended. So this scene here, the opening is 9 minutes, and you are, well, for me at least, totally enraptured in this visual, the music, and just so beautifully executed. This scene here shows Kirsten Dunst in what is a wedding dress, and therefore should be celebratory and happy, and yet you see these dark threads, these black thing, this unseen force that is holding her back. And if you watch that scene, the whole scene is in slow motion. So this is what is happening here with that tuberose note. The tuberose, where normally is very bubblegum, very narcotic and very present and heady and all the rest of it, it's now being sort of suppressed and pulled backward by these dark unseen forces, which is leather and smoke and patchouli and oud and cumin. This I can smell the cumin. So here cumin is very present, but it works. All of this works so well. It's such a beautiful expression of, it does this balance, similar to this image, does this balance of like a note that we should be celebrating, this white floral tuberose and slightly feminine, but now paired with these dark, heavy essence of it. Again, Kevin smelled this yesterday and he's like, whoa, that's old. I didn't tell him what the fragrances were, but in smelling this, he said, bro, that is ultra niche. And really, this is, again, Meo's early work. This is ultra niche. This is something that is incredibly, I don't know how he's done it, and so well executed. How it opens, it's a, and here's another one. This is one you don't, sorry, my brain's going everywhere. This is one that you don't smell up close. Let it diffuse in the air. It's just beautiful. And that tuberose is present, but again, surrounded by all these more heavier, darker elements. And it's just, it smells beautiful. It's a really sublime fragrance to wear. And what it is, okay, so it's the tuberose, and this is another visual if you want, a tuberose in a very dark earth. And this tuberose, as opposed to being, you know, resplendent and bright, it's actually surrounded by, you know, it's shrouded in darkness, it's earthy, it's dirty, there is soil around it. It has been, oh sorry, the tuberose has been soiled, there's you know, it's been brought down. I recommend. A lot of people actually who have fallen in love or sort of discovered this early, people who love all things Orto, Parisi, Megamare, blah, blah, blah. The Odor 93 is one that I would recommend to put on your radar as an exquisite fragrance to wear, especially for a boy. I'm going to stop and I'll be back. I'm back. All these fragrances, I think it's fair to say, unless we are Sparta, for those who like to blind buy, you do need to test. So what I've seen very clearly is some people have very strong opinion in a particular way, where I'm not seeing it like that, so I'm detecting something else. And the last one that I have here, I'll go into a little bit more detail about that particular point, how we're all seeing things in a very different way. Okay, the next one that I would like to put forward to you is a great house from the UK. It's Beaufort, London. So early on, actually the terminology, brutally beautiful. I sort of tweaked a little bit. There's a gentleman by the name of Ricardo from Poland, and he loves calling things horribly beautiful. And I think that, and so Beaufort London is a brand that he absolutely adores. I think he's probably got all of them. And he finds them all very horribly beautiful. So these are intense, quite unusual, quite robust. Definitely delving very deeply into incense and smoke and woods and resins and stuff like that. This fragrance here, so the two of us have been in communication about that sort of thing. The name of this one here is the Terror and Magnificence. Now, the name sort of makes you feel like, oh, what's about to happen? The terror part of it really just occurs in the beginning, where it's overtly smoky. It's there is like a very deep sort of birch tar, leathery element to it, but a lot of smoke around. It doesn't smell like a smokehouse. So it's not overtly woody, in my opinion. If anything, it's more incense-like. So I had, sort of deep smoke in that area. So that terror, but that only lasts for about 10, 15 minutes. And that is also relative because I actually like it. I really love it. I don't find it terrible, or terror inspiring. If anything, I find it super, I just enjoy it. For me, that scent profile is actually quite peaceful and calming, and it stirs my soul. There's something that comes in from the inside. So if you're a little bit nervous about that, it does settle down for after about 20 or 30 minutes, and then it goes into the Magnificence. And the Magnificence is gloriously divine in that incense place. The best way to define this fragrance is really going into a very low-lit church. For those who've been to Rome, and so I say that because I bang on about Rome all the time, but for those who've been to Rome, there's an area called Trastevere, and there are some really small churches in Trastevere that they look so run down. They look like, they've been there for 1,000 years, and this is what the fragrance is, So the exterior is just, just tired and just run down. And as you go in, the pews, the wood, the dark wood, the very low light, the candles that are lit, this is all the scene here that's actually this fragrance creates for you. It is, but for me, that's so calming. It just sort of it lowers vibrations. It brings your soul in a peaceful place. It lowers your mind. This fragrance here, I love wearing as a cool weather, or even going out into an evening, or even just chilling. Just me, just wanting to just bring things down mentally. A great fragrance to wear. It's not a huge projector, so it doesn't have a massive push. It doesn't become a body scent. People are aware of the fragrance. For me, some people who may have experienced this for the first time may find it a little bit on that deeply smoky, but overall, it's, I think, a very easy fragrance to jump on. Did I explain that? All right, so other words that I've got here, a somber, it is a very somber, it is a serious, and it has that somber, serious sort of opening. And then as it dries down, it does go into that woody, the amber, the reassuring, the peaceful. It does have a touch of leather to it, and I do find that I get 8 hours without a problem at all. All right, so an hour in. And I'm in that reassuring, even to the point I had a mental picture of being in this church, but with this like a leather-bound book, so something that has that papyrus paper smell, old sort of texture to the paper, and it's a calming, bring your brain down sort of place. A great fragrance, honestly. Out of this, I've sort of moved. I went from really sort of a bit more like intense to now something a little bit more quieter. And the last one that I want to share with you, yes, still good, is one, and this is where I go back before to, this is Amoral by Pernoire, or Amoral, yeah, maybe that's how you say it. I saw this review, so it's a Swiss brand, and I've always been intrigued with the collection that they have. They've got some interesting sort of concepts. I've dived way deeper. I was in France last year, and obviously had access to them, and dove really right in. Aussies locally, Bloom, Leah Bloom, who's actually a wonderful lady who joined us on multiple KM fragrance tours across the world, has started a business called Bloom, and she's now brought it into the country. So Aussies, you now have access to Pernoire and what they do. And Sandra is, you good? Sandra's been very noisy today. I just want to say that. I just want to put it out there. She's whispering now. Sorry. Oh, It's cold in here, and Sandra's getting a blanket for Hannah. She's a good lady. She's a good lady. Sorry, my brain, when I hear noise, my brain goes, you know, it's like, no, no, it's okay. It's okay. I love you. I love you. Well, not you, but. So, door closes. So the fragrance. Now, as I was exploring Pernoire, I did see Daniel from Seldomly Often talk about it. Now I love you, Dan. No, I love you also. He brutalized it. He did not like this fragrance at all, to the point where I'm like, oh, maybe Pernoire is not a brand that I want to explore. Anyway, I went to France last year, looked at the brand, I really like it. This resonated for me. Amoral, I'm like, this is actually pretty good. Anyway, so I've been wearing it. This is a fragrance that Sandra likes it when I'm wearing it. I find that it is appealing. It is if you're, and here's the interesting part. My take is if you're new to oud, so if you're a new recruit who's moving into semi-pro, I would recommend this to you as a great fragrance. Yesterday, Kevin came in. I said, you know, smell my fragrances. Smell this one here. And he's like, ooh, bro, that's intense. That's oud. That has also like a cumin note. So his cumin radar was on because it's got a sweaty vibe to it. And I'm like, oh wow, I'm not picking up all that. I said I was planning to put this as a new recruit into semi-pro. He's like, no, that's insanity. He goes, this is now 5-star general into Supreme Leader. I found that a little bit surprising. So it's interesting. So here we have Daniel, who has a great collection and has a very astute nose when it comes to perfumery, who does not rate this fragrance. Then you have someone like Kevin, who's like, this is great, but this is super complex and super intense. And then you have me, where I'm going, if you like oud and you're wanting to explore, then I would go here. Sandra loves it when I'm wearing it. I love it when I'm wearing it. My nose detects it, picks it up. Just before I started, I wanted to get one more view. I asked Hannah, I'm like, what do you think of this fragrance? And even though poor Hannah's got a cold at the moment, she did say that she could smell it. I said, pleasant or not pleasant? And she's like, no, it's very pleasant. So test it. Bottom line is, go out, check it out. Amoral, I do like it. If I grab it quickly, what is it? It's oud with a dark fruit element to it. For me, I get a very clear plum-like piece to it. Raisins and dark liquid and all the rest of it. But it does have the animalic element of oud. So it hasn't sort of hidden that oud away. It is present and it's there. On first spray, I'm like, this is great. And then as it dries down, as it moves through, as it stays on my body, it's a great fragrance. It does have more push. I find that this one now has probably, I don't know, it'll be in a comfortable moderate. So it's in that, you know, three or four sprays, actually 3 sprays, I always do 3. 3 sprays is more than enough for it to be present in the air, and I get 8 hours without a problem. I think I said everything there. Yeah, just again, Kevin, cumin and spice. That's what he was getting mainly, and I'm like, brother, I'm picking up this fruit. He's like, where's this fruit? I do get that animalic, and again, maybe the cumin is that sweaty note, that human sort of dirtiness that can be created through that note. But I find it super appealing. I find it just a beautiful fragrance to wear, and one that is brutally beautiful, as I've been saying from the beginning. Bop, there it is. So there you have it. 6 fragrances that I would recommend if you want something a little bit more creative, a little bit more, you know, that has a bit more, you know, a bit of sass in there, something a little bit different rather than sort of playful and not necessarily predictable, but just, you know, something that presents itself quickly to you. These ones here, evolve, move, they're ones that, as I mentioned, you wouldn't necessarily plant your nose in, but from a presence point of view, they're divine. I just saw this one here. I do want to talk about it, and this also was part of the inspiration. This is Dora's LuBu. I'm going to do a review on this. The intention is that it'll go out this Sunday, fingers crossed. If worst case, it'll go out next Sunday, but yeah, I'm aiming to get this out this Sunday. This is another brutally beautiful fragrance, and I need to talk about it because I've been wearing it and it's just, so I'll go into more detail. I wanted to give it a whole episode on its own because that's something that is really, they've done a great job. The perfumer is Margot. You've heard me say I really enjoy the work that she does. Quentin from Sora, Dora, I really love his full collection, and that one there deserves a spotlight. Bada bing. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you have any of these fragrances? Any thoughts, any feedback when it comes to how they perform? Do you agree? Do you disagree with me? Do you disagree with me that these are, just not enjoyable, or perhaps that they're just easy to wear, So I'll be curious to find out. I'm gonna stop, battery's flashing, and then I'll wrap this baby up. Back and wrapping this baby up. Now, if you enjoyed this production and you've enjoyed the review, I'd love you to subscribe. It's a great support to the channel. And also, well, yeah, it's just it's a nice acknowledgement that we're hopefully doing the right things or doing things in the right way. Now, I mentioned earlier that we have a brand, or I have a brand called Olfactive Traveller. This is Roma 271. If you want to, good news is Daniel, he did purchase the fragrances. Have a look at this review. He talks about them, and he does actually, for him, Roma 271 resonated the best for him. It is a darker horse in the sense that there's a lot more to unbox and explore. Dolce Milano and also Pelle Viola, they seem to present themselves a lot easier and quicker to understand. Whereas Roma, there's a lot more mystery going on, and it was wonderful hearing Daniel's take on this particular fragrance. If you'd like to, one thing that I would love you guys to do, if you haven't already, is jump on the Instagram. Here's our handle. I'd love you to follow. Just put a follow against that. We have got some big concepts coming through very soon. There's new productions that are being developed for the feeling of who Olfactive Traveller is and what these fragrances are about. So if you could follow us, that would be a great support. Now, the announcements, as I mentioned earlier, one, Libertine, the boutique here in Melbourne, we're doing the meetup and at 11 a.m. this Saturday. It's really a chance to be in your company and experience fragrances alongside each other so that, I can then put some fragrances forward. You can put some fragrances forward. Tell me why you love them. So it's really just playing in the sandbox, having a bit of fun together. I don't really put a time against it. Normally, I don't know, we'll say till midday, 1 o'clock. So even if it doesn't have to be 11 o'clock on the dot, if you're there at midday, I'll still be there. But I would love to see you. So if you're local and you get a chance to come out to the store, please do that, because it's a beautiful store. 2, there's so many beautiful fragrances, and 3, let's get together. There's a really good community here in Melbourne. Now, I mentioned last week that I've got a promo running to celebrate our 200th episode of Mate Talk, which was a concept that was meant to last 4 weeks. I was going to do 4 episodes and see how it went. So 200 episodes later. Now, here is the wheel. Now, you'll notice that there are some people who have a single wedge, and then there's one that have more presence. They actually have 3 on the wedge. Let me tell you how you can participate any way you choose. To get a single entry, a single wedge, to win this particular item here, which is a full bottle of the Electric Woods X-Straight Room 1015, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel and put in the comment either Mate 200 or the emoji 200. And that will we'll be able to identify you. We'll put your name against that. And if you were to win at the end of the month, then you'll get this anywhere in the world. We'll send it to you anywhere in the world. Now, in reference to the larger wedge that's there, what is going on there, what you have to do is take a photo of yourself, put a drink in front or something in front. And if you had this gentleman here who put Roma 271, I love that you are a true believer already, in front of the screen. As long as Mate Talk's in the background, then I'd love you to either post it on your social and tag us so that we can then repost, or just send me the image. And in some scenarios, some people don't have socials, send me an email. You'll see that there's an email that you can send that to. I'll then repost it and we'll put you into the draw. So now you get 3 entries to the actual comp. If it were to land on you, you're gonna win 2 prizes, okay? So if you just got a single wedge and it lands on you, you're gonna get this. But if you've got that 3, then you'll get both of these things. Now, in here is Olfactive Traveller. This is our discovery set, essentially. It's a leather-bound unit, hand-stitched, embossed, etc. There are 3 fragrances in here that are 10 ml each. However, what's gonna happen is, I've taken 2 out. There'll be either Roma or Dolce Milano, and then the 2 new fragrances that are coming out shortly. So you're gonna be one of the first to experience what these new fragrances are. Here's some artwork that we're in development. Well, actually, it's now finalized. These were the initial sort of concept images that we were creating. And this gives you an idea of the sort of, I guess, the landscape that we're trying to complete the Italian story. So this is the Italian collection, is about Rome, Milan, Florence. This is now, it's a final chapter in this Italian conversation that we wanted to share. Boom, that's it. So that promo will run to the end of the month. Put your details in, and we'll put your name in this wheel, and then we'll spin, and good luck to everybody on that. The last thing I want to share is that you can become a member of the channel. There are 3 benefits of becoming a member. Benefit number 1 is we say thank you. And we every morning we read out everybody's name and we do a thank you. That's not true, but it sounds cool. But we do say thank you. We're very appreciative of that support. So 1 is that we were appreciative. 2, you do get access to the Discord. So NFC Discord. There's a great conversation in there. It's a chance to have a community with like-minded people. The great questions you can ask if you want to know more about perfumery, or even if you just want to find like-minded individuals. They're all in there. And the last thing that the benefit is that every month I do a spin of the wheel. That spin will happen at the end of this month, all right? So somebody in there will win something. It's let me send you something, essentially. So I curate this depending on what you love. I'll send you dual samples and things of that nature for you to explore something different and new. Boom, and we're done. Thank you, everyone. I love all the comments that are coming through. I am being as diligent as possible to respond to everybody. If you've got a question for me, please put it in. Sometimes I use those questions to, I guess, narrate what's going to happen next on Mate Talk. Mate Talk is a very dynamic in the sense of what's the word? It's current. So if something happens this week, then most likely I'll put it forward for next week. That's it. I'll see you guys all on the next Mate Talk. Bye, everyone.